Welcome back to the Stan Simpson Show, continuing our conversation with our entertainment attorney, James Walker. Segue now to entertainment, of course. J-Lo going to join American Idol, be one of the judges. You know, I'm not a big American Idol person. It's not much.
But you're blushing.
Yeah, not much watch TV for me, but I'll tune in now. J-Lo coming out for 12 million strong.
Well, I think it's a good pick. I think she's obviously always hot, and she relates to that type of music. She's a pop icon.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good pick. What's going to be interesting to see the chemistry between her and Randy, and I believe Steve Tyler is going to be the third judge. So the chemistry is the key. I thought the Ellen pick was dangerous from the get-go.
Why?
I just didn't think she had credibility in the music industry.
Okay.
I loved her as a comedian. You know, she's funny and everything, but I didn't know if she could really pull off stepping in the music space of American Idol.
Is that important, though? Is that credibility more personalities or more music, or a combination of both, that personality and a music
it's a combination of both.
Right.
It's definitely a combination of both, and J-Lo gives you kind of a street cred, and she kind of gives you a certain
sex appeal.
Sex appeal, of course. People rather look at her probably than Ellen, you know, the average viewer, you know, it's fair to say, and I think she's going to bring something to the show that they haven't had.
Yeah. 12 million strong. It's pretty good money to be a judge, right?
It's pretty good money, but the show is probably $1 billion franchise, so it's a drop in the bucket for them.
Hot show.
Hot show.
Hot movie, possibly. Wall Street. Greed is good. 24 years later, 23 years later, Wall Street sequel. Money Never Sleeps. Michael Douglas is back. What's the potential for this? Opens up yesterday, 2 days ago. How will this make it long-term? Because clearly you're getting a whole new audience, folks who maybe haven't heard of the old Wall Street, and then the old audience, the folks who were there before. Michael
Douglas is still a draw. And our prayers are obviously with him during, I think, his throat cancer.
Right, throat cancer, right.
So I think our prayers have to go out to him and his family. But he's obviously still a draw. He's still an A-list star. And I think you're going to see a strong opening weekend.
A lot of marketing work, right?
A lot of
money into marketing here on this.
A lot of marketing. And that movie almost in the 80s made his mystique, you know, his command of the screen in that movie. Even though he was a villain, it was him and I think the gentleman who played kind of his protagonist, antagonist, Martin Sheen's son, and Charlie Sheen, thank you. And now they have LaBeouf.
Okay.
They have him starring in the movie, and I think it's going to be a big win. I couldn't see the movie doing bad.
All right, throw a lot of money at it.
It's a
good franchise.
Shia LaBeouf.
All right, you're throwing it at me like I know his name.
Yeah,
I don't know his name.
Well, my daughters know his name, so I think it's going to be a great movie, and I think
it's a franchise, though, right?
Franchise. I'd be surprised if it did less than $100 million.
Wow.
I'd be really surprised, given the power of both of those actors, LaBeouf as well as Michael Douglas, and the brand itself.
A money maker.
They did it smart. You got Michael from the 80s, and you got Shia LaBeouf from this generation, so it's a draw on all sides. Wyclef
Jean has decided he was tinkering with the idea of running for president of Haiti, decided not to run. Entertainers who decide to run for president of countries get a little too full of themselves. I know it was altruistic and well-intended, but that's a pretty big job being president, right?
Well, no, let's talk about the political climate now for entertainers. I think right now in this country as well as worldwide, there's an anti-celebrity sentiment, and the question is, do you really have the goods? I think had he ran on the tails of Barack 2 years ago, it would have been different. But right now, people are angry and they're upset, and your celebrity is not enough to get you over the humps of credibility.
Look at Manny Pacquiao, right, running for Congress. It's his homeland.
Right. Congress is different, though, the president.
Right. But I'm saying the fact that he has celebrity in his country helped him, which segues now to Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
Huge fight on the horizon.
Right.
Pacquiao Mayweather. He's in trouble again. What appears to be a domestic issue going very bad. Right. Multiple felony charges, including theft. And if you read the details, it seems to be really a bad domestic where he comes in, he's upset with the ex-wife, and the ex-wife is seeing a boyfriend, and so
he threatens to whip everybody.
Right, and he steals a cell phone. So even though there's a theft charge there, a burglary charge, it's about a cell phone. He doesn't make it all go away. The bottom line for this, though, this hurts his marketability and maybe delays that big money fight eventually with Manny Pacquiao.
And he's out in Vegas, and I guess he didn't get the memo on O.J., and he didn't get the memo on Mike Tyson in Indiana, and he didn't get the memo on a number of other athletes like Plaxico Burress, who have done things that just make no sense at all, and you find yourself sitting in jail 6 months, a year, 2 years. And I think with this one, they've added multiple counts now. First it was just 3 counts, and we all thought, oh, that's minor. Now they've come back, and I think it's up to 9 or 10 counts, and it's pretty serious. They've added a kidnapping count. When you tell your kids, if you leave, I will do this to you. That's kidnapping. So,
to what degree, though, is this a prosecution that's a little bit overzealous? If you read the details, I guess he told the kids, don't leave the house, so the daddy's going to smack you or whatever. So now that's a kidnapping charge. To what degree does the jury say, come on, it was a bad domestic, it got out of itself, this shouldn't be of a felony nature, this is something that should be settled in family court?
Well, you may be very true. Everybody wants to make a name for themselves when you're in those positions sometimes, but at the end of the day, you're, quote, Money Mayweather.
Right.
And you should listen to the people who've helped you make your money. He has a very smart team with Leonard Ellaby, Alan Heyman, even his father. His father and his uncle have had a lot of legal issues. So you would just think, as the son and nephew of those two men who are great trainers, take nothing against them, you would just think he would have thought better about this, and he would have carried himself a little more wise. The other part of this is you have to wonder if there's an anti-Mayweather sentiment out there, because he's very flossy, he's very bling-bling, goes up to the casino, gambles $500,000.
Right.
You know, when they did the reality show on him on HBO, he showed you how he lives, curses, drinks. You know, he plays the image of the boxer to the T.
He plays, they call it the heel in wrestling. He plays the bad guy very well, right? And when you get a jury or a prosecution saying, hey, let's show this guy what's going on, let's teach him a lesson, right?
And I think you want to play the street cred card and end up in jail. That really makes no sense, you know. And what example is that for his kids and for our young people looking at him?
Bigger picture is he's gaining in on mid-30s. This probably sets him back as far as the Pacquiao fight. He's got to clean this mess up, spend some money, and maybe now when he fights Pacquiao, he's a little bit slower.
And there's a shift, too. Remember, he was saying Pacquiao wouldn't admit to taking some kind of test. That's why he wouldn't fight him. He wanted Pacquiao to submit to certain kind of testing. Well, now Pacquiao is elected in his country. He's a famous statesman.
He's got
to fight in November. And now it kind of looks like Mayweather is the kind of the crazy one. He's released some tapes where he's blasting Pacquiao a few weeks ago, and it just really doesn't look good for him right now. And I feel really bad because we enjoy him as boxing fans.
He's a guy who doesn't need to do half the things he does. He doesn't need to do. He's a good-looking guy, right? He's got good marketability, but foul mouth, egocentric, and he brings things to the nth degree too many times.
Well, I think he's met his day with this one.
Yeah.
And the young lady, remember, we should point out, they had something like this years ago, and she recanted. This time, it seems like...
Well, I think he'll beat the rap, but I think it's going to cost us some money and some time. At the end of the day, it'll go away, and they'll drop these charges down, but maybe 18 months before it's all said and done.
Right.
I
agree.
He is our entertainment attorney, James Walker, a regular contributor. When we come back, folks, our sports maven, Scott Gray, visits for an update on the local sports scene. Don't go away. You're watching The Stan Simpson Show.